You're listening to episode 52 of Present Moment. Welcome to Present Moment, Mindfulness Practice and Science. I'm Ted Meissner. Present Moment is a podcast with interviews, conversations, and roundtable discussions. We speak with mindfulness teachers about their newest findings published in peer-reviewed science journals, teachers about their understanding and methods as they work with students of mindfulness, authors about their books and interests, and we also speak with everyday practitioners. The website presentmomentmindfulness.com has show notes for each episode along with resource materials. Melli O'Brien joins us to speak about the Mindfulness Summit, a free event starting in October. There are really good teachers of mindfulness throughout the world today, and while it's a good thing they're here, it may also be something of a challenge to hear from them. If you're not able to travel or pay the high registration expense commanded by large conferences or teaching institutions to see them, your opportunity to learn from a wide variety of teachers in a concentrated way might be limited. And that is precisely the challenge today's guest has accepted. Melli O'Brien teaches meditation and mindful living through immersion retreats as well as courses. An internationally accredited meditation and yoga teacher, Melli is not affiliated with any one religion or tradition, but rather draws from them all. Her goal is to distill the essence of the world's wisdom traditions and make those teachings easy to understand and simple to apply in daily life. Melli is available to teach and talk on meditation and mindfulness at conferences, festivals, and for workshops. Our guest today is Melli O'Brien. Melli, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm very glad you're here, and thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. I know that right now, as of this recording, you're pretty busy with a few things going on, and we'll talk about that in a few moments. But I'd like to start by having you tell us a little bit about your background with mindfulness.
I think I might have been a contemplative child by nature. So I used to spend quite a lot of time alone in nature when I was a child, and it's a strange thing for other people to understand sometimes, but when I was alone in nature, that's when I actually felt the most connected. So there was something there in my nature that I think just started very young, but I didn't really have any kind of a context or a framework to fit that into anything. And my partner and I actually have a very entrepreneurial background. So we have always been having a lot of fun over the years building different kinds of businesses. But what I love to do with my time is really to be mindful in various ways. So practicing yoga might be having some time in stillness in nature on the beach. I just really wanted to share that connected and intimate space with other people. So I started teaching mindfulness. I trained in a very yogic background, which is very unusual for a mindfulness teacher. Most of the mindfulness teachers I know really come from a Buddhist background. But the yogic background is where I started, but I started specializing in teaching retreats on mindful living in yogic ashrams, which I still do today and really love.
Wonderful. And I imagine that's going to change a little bit as mindfulness gains in general acceptance with the public, that we'll see people coming at it from other than a traditional Buddhist setting. And I think that's a good thing. That increases the diversity of perspectives we have with the practice.
Yeah, I do think so. And there's many other teachers who I respect who had the same viewpoint as me. It's that you don't have to look very far into spiritual texts and teachings to see that the same essential teaching is there in all the world's religions and all the world's spiritual traditions and wisdom teachings. There's always an essential common truth that isn't exclusively Buddhist, and it isn't exclusively yogic, and it's not exclusively Sufi. But those different traditions are using different words, I believe, to talk about the same thing.
Our human experience and that part that we share about this moment by moment life. So say just a little bit about how mindfulness, how the practice, whatever that background, has made a difference in your life. What have you noticed?
It's really interesting, to try to put into words what I think is the most essential and beautiful thing about practicing mindfulness, which is that for me, it puts me in touch with, I guess, what I would say is the deepest and truest part of myself, and the part of myself where I feel very deeply connected with life, which leads me to be very, very compassionate and loving towards life and myself as well, very gentle and kind and light with myself. And I mean, there's many other little benefits. I could talk about the fact that, when I started practicing mindfulness in a repetitive way, in a consistent way when I was in my early 20s, it stopped me from overeating. I stopped biting my nails. I stopped, there was all these little bonus things that happened, but none of those things really, to me, I think they're all side effects of this feeling centered and whole. There's a lot less restlessness in me. There's a lot, and I'm don't get me wrong here. I stuff things up all the time. I get angry sometimes. I do all the normal human stuff, and, all of that, I trip over and dust myself off, but there's a wholeness underlying that whole journey of our natural humanity that wasn't there for the most of my earlier life. That's the benefit.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And for listeners, you may be familiar with Melli under her guise of Mrs. Mindfulness. So, Melli, I'm wondering if you could say a little bit about what that is and what made you decide to start that.
Well, Mrs. Mindfulness is basically that's the name of my website where I blog about mindfulness. And we have, I think, about 10,000 or 20,000 people reading the blog every month. And, really the idea behind just calling the website Mrs. Mindfulness or creating that is just Mrs. Mindfulness is such a simple thing. I rebranded my website 3 times because I couldn't find the right name. And then I used to, when I lived in Sydney, I was always going past this shop that was called Mr. Golf. And I was like, oh, that's so simple. Mr. Golf is probably, I imagined him as this guy who, he's not Tiger Woods. He's not the best golf player in the world or anything. But what he is somebody who's so passionate about golf that, there's people coming into the golf shop all day talking about golf. He plays golf on his weekends. He hangs out with people who like to play golf. And I was like, well, hey, Mrs. Mindfulness is kind of, the same thing. I love to talk about mindfulness. I love sharing it. I hang out with people who love practicing mindfulness, and that's my world. So yeah, it's just the simple, I guess, invitation to, hey, let's share this journey into mindfulness together. That's the kind of basic idea behind it.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be something so unattainable that one is hesitant to even start. It's something that the rest of us regular folks can do too.
Absolutely. And on my about page on my website, it's one of the first things I say is, hey, I'm on this journey with you. I'm still learning and growing every single day, but I'd love to share this journey with you.
So how's that been going? What kind of feedback have you had on the blog and the site?
Pretty positive. And I think that I'm sharing some really great tips. So I have a really strong idea that mindfulness is not just something that we do for 15 or 30 minutes a day in the morning and then there's kind of the rest of our life. I really like to talk about mindful living, the ways that we can integrate mindfulness into our lives so that we can live more kind and conscious and connected life. So the feedback's been really good from those tips on how to integrate mindfulness into daily life, and people sharing their own tips on there as well, which I really enjoy hearing, and poetry and all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, there's a little building community there.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, is that this is not just about the practice of your formal seated meditation. It's about what we bring to the world when we're not on the cushion. And we need some inspiration with that too.
Yeah. And it's the point, right? I mean, why do we do meditation? We do meditation because we want to live a more conscious life. So yeah, that's why I've got quite a strong focus on, why wait? That I think a lot of people have the feeling that if you meditate enough, it'll somehow permeate your life. And I think that's true to a degree, but why not focus on the little tiny everyday things that you can do, like consciously brushing your teeth or, having a mindful cuppa, or, giving yourself rest periods during the day where you don't do anything for 1 minute and you can just have some being time instead of all the doing time. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's shift to another topic today, and this is the focus of your busyness lately, especially this month, is the Mindfulness Summit. What is it and when is it?
The Mindfulness Summit is a free online event where people can learn mindfulness from the comfort of their own home, from the world's best teachers. And I'm really, really excited about this project because the motivation behind it was my partner and I sat down together, and he's a tech entrepreneur and I'm a mindfulness teacher. So we were kind of thinking, what is the greatest act of contribution that we could make to the world, being that we have these two skill sets. So this was our idea, that there are people all over the world right now who can't really either afford a mindfulness retreat, they can't afford a course that's a couple of $100, or they're just too remote. So maybe in a rural area or a poorer country or something. So this Mindfulness Summit is basically like having the chance to take a retreat in your living room, because there'll be free meditation sessions offered by these teachers and, a chance to participate in a 31-day challenge. It is from the 1st till the 31st of October, and there'll be 31 teachers in 31 days. I'm so excited about this project. It's been really fun putting together. Yes, very busy, but so much fun. And I can't wait to connect with all of these people. We've had 64,000 people sign up for the summit in 14 days. So yeah, really excited about the response that we're getting to this project.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I'm number 32,978. And I'm looking forward to it.
So glad to have you on board.
So tell us a little bit about some of the teachers and what that's like, because you've got some pretty good folks lined up who are helping with this project.
Yeah, beautiful teachers, some of the world's most respected teachers. And what I love, as we just kind of touched on, is, I wanted to have some diversity in that, not everybody's coming from the secular space, not everybody's coming from the Buddhist space, not everyone's So we've got this real diversity of teachers from different traditions. We've got Jack Cornfield, who is one of the pioneers in bringing Buddhism and Eastern teachings and Eastern wisdom to the West. We have John Kabat-Zinn, who also is just an incredible teacher who created the groundbreaking MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction program. And he's going to actually be leading a live stream on day 31 to bring the whole community together, which I'm really, really excited about. And then we've got, not only do we have these amazing teachers, like Tara Brach and Joseph Goldstein and all these amazing meditation teachers, but we've also got neuroscientists who are going to be talking about the research and how meditation affects our brains. We've got literally the world's cutting edge researchers from Oxford and Harvard talking about how meditation affects us and what we can do to make our practice more efficient, and just such an amazing array of people. We've got specialists in different areas as well. So we've got Jamala Birch, who specializes in teaching mindfulness for chronic pain sufferers. We've got Mark Williams, who specializes in teaching mindfulness for depression. And so we've really got these people who are, a mindful eating expert, and it's really great. We're kind of honing in on these niches for people who really need mindfulness given to them in a specific way to suit their needs. So, yeah.
That's terrific. And I especially like the fact that you're offering this in a way that is allowing people who are either geographically or perhaps ideologically isolated to participate, to use that convenience of digital technology to offer freely a wide selection of teachers that they would otherwise not get a chance to have this kind of interaction with. So good job. Well done. Very glad to hear it. And many of those people that you've mentioned have been guests on this or the other podcasts that we do around the research about what is this mindfulness stuff, and get their insights as well. We're looking forward to it. So, Melli, what did you learn, and what have you been learning and still learning as you're putting this together?
Oh my goodness. I have to say, the intention behind this summit was to give this gift to others, but I did not realize how much I would get out of it personally. It's been unbelievable. It has deepened my practice in ways that I had no expectation of this level of learning. These teachers are incredible. I think if I would say the one thing that has been driven home to me more than anything during this process is the importance of self-compassion during mindfulness practice. That really has been such a deepening and a nourishing part of my practice that's unfolded over the last kind of month when I've been interviewing these people. And you know what the other thing that really strikes me is that these teachers are so authentic. You know, when you meet them and, you know, talk to them in person, that's been something that's really struck me, the level of authenticity and openness and just heartfulness of these people. It's really quite impressive. So it's been a beautiful thing to create.
So what are you most hoping people get out of the summit?
I'm most hoping that in this really busy digital era that we live in, that people will learn, I think, the importance of cultivating awareness in this day and age and maybe reclaiming the ability to be more deeply in touch with themselves and life. I think we need that more than ever right now. And I'd love to pass that gift on to others. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that and for all of your work, of you and your partner, in putting this together, because it's a tremendous amount of work. And from someone who will be enjoying that, as I hope several listeners to this podcast will be doing, thank you very much for your efforts in this, and to all those others who are working with you in delivering this program. Thank you so much for that. And folks who are listening to the podcast, you can find out more about what Melli is doing in two different sites, mrsmindfulness.com and themindfulnesssummit.com. Both of those will be linked on the episode page for this episode. Melli, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Ted. It's been such a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about something you've heard in today's podcast, please come visit the website at presentmomentmindfulness.com. You'll find an entire webpage devoted to this and every episode. You can comment on the episode page and find show notes and other helpful resources for your mindfulness practice. The shakuhachi music heard on Present Moment is used by permission and through the generosity of musician Rodrigo Rodriguez. His website is linked on the Present Moment website on the About Podcast Music page. Sound editing, mixing, and mastering provided by the generosity of Anthony Dominello of StructureFromSound.com. Until next time, remember, every moment you have a choice. Make it the best you can. See you next time on Present Moment.